Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the March 4th, 2020 Plan Commission. If I can get a roll call, please.
Finish first?
I'm sorry.
Are we doing the finish first?
Oh, sorry. Mine's out of order. Sorry. We'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Burleson?
Here.
Ms. Cardona? Mr. Gill?
Here.
Mr. Gillette is absent. Ms. Little is absent. Ms. Wooland?
Here.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Everly?
Here.
Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Kraus?
Here.
Mr. Attorney Decker?
Here.
Paul Panzik?
Here.
And we also have with us Brian Blazak, Councilman.
Craig Phillips?
I called.
Did you?
Yes,
Yes.
you did.
Oh, then I missed it. Can you do it again?
And just for those that are not familiar with seeing Craig Phillips, he is our new town manager as of Monday, correct?
Correct.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
With that, item number 4, minutes. Can I get a motion to defer the minutes until the April meeting, please?
I move that we defer the February minutes to the April meeting.
I have a motion by John. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Motion approved, deferral minutes. With that, next item on the agenda is public hearings. With that, I will turn it over to, we've been asked to refer to Mr. Decker at this time.
Mr. President and members of the Plan Commission, as you're aware, the town of St. John and BLB St. John LLC are currently involved in litigation. On February 20th of 2018, BLB St. John initiated a lawsuit against the town of St. John in the Lake Superior Court. In that lawsuit, BLB St. John sought compensation for and a declaratory judgment arising from the construction of a sanitary interceptor sewer line through the subdivision that is known as the Gates of St. John.
This is yours.
On Monday of this week, on March 2nd of this year, the court in that litigation held a hearing in regard to certain aspects of the litigation. And the court has requested the parties to submit proposed findings and conclusions for its consideration, which I understand those findings are due by March 23rd. The court is expected to rule sometime after that date, although it's uncertain as to when that ruling will be forthcoming. As a result, the town and BLB St. John have agreed to defer any action on items A, B, C, and D, and E on the agenda. In addition, item F, which involves the replat of the Pod 22, is arguably also part of that litigation. Its determination as a result of, well, may be determinative on the result of the litigation. For those reasons, I recommend that the Plan Commission consider approving a motion to defer items A through F, including the public hearing tonight, to the April 1st, 2020 meeting.
Adam, is there a staggered time frame that the court has set for the parties, or are everybody's motions and due the same day?
My understanding is that all parties' submissions are due on March 23rd, so they were not staggered.
Is there a time frame for a decision after March 23rd, or is it?
I am not aware that the court has indicated that it would give itself any period of time within which it would rule. So the answer is no.
Any questions from the board to Adam? Do you understand what he has asked or is recommending? All right, with that, I will entertain a motion based on Adam's I would refer to Adam's recommendation for items
A through F.
A through F. If the board, I will entertain any motion at the board's pleasure.
Mr. President, if I could. Tim Kuiper on behalf of BLB and LBL.
1 minute, Tim. Can I accept comments, or are we opening it up? If I allow Tim to speak, what is the situation with that?
So, Mr. President, you have the chair, and you can recognize Mr. Kuiper if you wish to, or you are not required to recognize Mr. Kuiper in the consideration of that motion.
If I recognize Tim, do I have to recognize I could recognize anybody else if anybody else wants to speak. Tim? Okay, I will recognize Tim.
I concur with most of what Attorney Decker said. He recited most things correctly. Based upon a prior agreement that was submitted to the court on January 14 in this matter, it stated that no public hearings would occur where a motion could be made on any items that related to Resolution 2020-01-01. You guys don't have that in front of you. So that's the 40 acres that's over by White Oak and 109th. That's also the 111 acres that Sam is on top of and below the other things. So items A through E would be properly continued tonight based upon that agreement of the parties. The challenge that I have is on item F. That is a replat of part of that unit that was in town, that was rezoned last year, that is not subject to the lawsuit. It's not subject to the annexations or anything else. It was zoned R2 PUD, and again, it is not part of any of the lawsuit, any annexation, or anything else. There is no legal basis tonight to continue that item. It is proper, it has been posted, it has been noticed for in the paper, and certifieds were sent out per the Plan Commission's requirements. So respectfully, we request that that item still be heard tonight and that public hearing be conducted. Again, not part of the lawsuit.
Not part of the lawsuit, and again, was that part of an agreement based on the square footage of the lots, that 100 acres that was replat, part of the whole 200?
It is.
Okay.
It is. So the
so it's
issue,
like-
I'm sorry.
So it's part of the total development of the
Correct.
property, which part of it is currently under litigation.
That is correct.
And we don't know the outcome of that zoning, of the additional acreage outside.
That doesn't matter. So if it's
Doesn't matter to
if it's R1
Oh, it doesn't matter, when you say it doesn't matter.
to the outcome of this replat, if it's R1, the density can't go down. I mean, it goes up. It's the average goes incredibly up. Currently, what you have before you, if we were to proceed on all these items tonight, except for the two rezoning matters, the average across the project meets it right now as an R2 PUD as we submitted it. So we can't make it any denser. And the ruling in the court would only make it less if that was the case to R1. The zoning ordinance that was adopted, 1695, by the town council last year, put it to R2 PUD with certain requirements, and the one was 11,200 across the project. The argument last year was that those other two parcels that comprised the 111 acres was not technically in town. Technically, that's correct. It came in January 1 at midnight. So now that the project is complete in town, in the jurisdiction of the town, this item F is appropriate for your consideration tonight, regardless of the outcome of the lawsuit. And again, there was no agreement on that by this party.
I appreciate that, Tim. Any comments for Tim from the board? All right,
I have a question for Adam. Adam, you indicated that the item F is somehow connected to the ongoing litigation. Can you elaborate on how that is connected that would sort of explain what Tim's position is?
Yes. So my understanding is that the property which was annexed into the town of St. John last year, which was not annexed as of January 1st of 2020, and I think this is referred to commonly as the 108 acres, is part of a zoning commitment that was made by the developer, LBL Development, and that commitment provides that the average lot size for all of the lots in the entire development, which consists of 220 acres, would meet an average square size, or average lot size of 11,200 square feet. As I've indicated, the court has not yet ruled on the legal issues concerning the annexation ordinance and the ordinance that annexed the property as R2 PUD. My understanding is that the developer with the original plat of subdivision, so this property has previously been platted, and that primary plat has been approved by the Plan Commission, presented that with essentially meeting that criteria. Now, my understanding is that the amended plat is seeking to reduce the size of certain of those lots and without knowing what the developer intends to do with the other property in the 220 acres. It's difficult, if not impossible, for the Plan Commission to fully understand whether the developer would meet the zoning commitment that requires the 11,200 square foot
For the
average
overall
lot size.
development? For the
Throughout the
overall-
entire
Okay.
development. That's correct.
Again, the issue with that is that the lot average can only go up if the court were to find in favor of the town. The lot sizes would have to go up, and as presented today across the entire project, all of those exceed, on average, the 11,200 square feet.
All right, with that, I'll bring it back to the board. You know the outcome, both parties have agreed to defer action, public hearing, and decision on A, B, C, D, and E. The question that has been brought up by petitioner is, is it understanding of deferral of item F, or do we hear it public hearing tonight on F?
Mr. President, if I may, just a little bit of Plan Commission 101. So the zoning commitment is an umbrella over two separate parcels. One is in litigation, one is not, as Mr. Kuiper has correctly pointed out. The average lot sizes over those two separate parcels. If you were to approve primary plat at a square footage that's less than the, okay, so first of all, you have to judge this parcel in and of itself. You cannot judge on what might happen on the other parcel. You could approve this parcel, and once you do that primary, they can come back and get secondary. It's ministerial. They could sell the other parcel for all you know. You have no idea what's going to happen. They could sell it. It could be rezoned. Anything is possible. So really, without being able to do primary plat on both in parallel, you have no true test of the zoning commitment. You cannot guarantee you're going to get 11,200 square foot. Again, they could sell the 111 acres. Somebody could buy it, rezone it to something else, but they've already got primary and secondary plat, and you're stuck. So the zoning commitment binds the two parcels, and therefore you cannot really make a true decision on whether the zoning commitment's been met or not, and that's Plan Commission duty for that. Thank you.
If I could, again, Mr. President,
Tim, I gave you an opportunity.
No, I appreciate, but now we have the liaison that's now speaking. You had the attorney, I get that, but now we have another comment and more consideration for you before you rule on this item.
Would any of the board members want to hear from Tim? For Tim, I'll give you one more shot at this, or one more opportunity to speak.
So the town is having heartburn about R2 PUD on these other properties. There is no way that anyone, us, any further owner of the property could come in and get anything less than R1 at this point in time. There's no way we can get less than 11,200 square feet across this property. We have submitted fully for the entirety of the project. We're exceeding the average lot size as required by the commitment. There's no way, again, legally, physically possible that we can dip below that requirement. Thank you.
Replatted today, if the replat is approved.
Yep.
Would you be at 11.2 or under?
For the project, yes.
You would be under 11.2 if it approved the replatting.
For the project. Now, the project is
No,
the
no, for this
219.
section of 108 acres.
No, but the commitment is for across the project.
Which is part of its currently still under litigation.
That's correct, but we can't dip below that average. Last year, the issue was the property wasn't technically annexed in, so we couldn't guarantee that the property would come in when we could, if it was just ministerial. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I bring it back to the board. Board, you have heard from the developer with his regards to either deferring public F or item F or hearing it tonight, so I will entertain a motion.
I will move to defer, considering, I will move to make a motion to defer items A through F, considering and in light of everything that has been discussed and in light of the fact that this is an ongoing litigation and it's in the best interest of the town, to make a cohesive decision moving forward. So I will make a motion to go ahead and defer that.
I have a motion to defer items A through F. Is there a second?
I second.
I have a second by Nancy. All in favor, say
Mr.
aye.
President, clarification, when would that be deferred to?
Good point. We would defer it, Adam, and I would imagine we would defer it to the next meeting on April 1st.
I would recommend that it be deferred to the next regularly scheduled meeting. Yes.
Can you add that to your motion, deferral of items A through F
Sure.
to the next,
April 1st.
April 1st?
And Adam, that may not actually be the true date if in
We
fact
might
that
have
the,
to defer it.
yeah, we might have to defer it again if the judge puts it under advisement.
2 days to decide
correct.
after.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move to defer items A through F to the April 1st, 2020 meeting.
Do you s-
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're deferring public hearing of items A through F. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time coming out tonight. I appreciate the value you consider coming in here to speak publicly on this. Second, I want to apologize for any inconvenience this has caused you. It is a litigation. Our attorney has recommended that we defer it, so if it caused you any inconvenience tonight, we apologize for that. We just want to make sure we got one shot at this, we get it right. With that, I'm going to recess for 5 minutes. If people want to leave, you can stay. We will have public comment, just so we do have remaining business items on the agenda. So I'm going to just recess for 5 minutes. If people want to exit, we'll restart in 5 minutes with the remaining of our agenda. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we do have a public hearing. It is John Sejas. Did I get it right, John? Yes. It's taken me a couple times, and John Gill's been helping me out. This petitioner is seeking preliminary plat approval to combine 2 existing lots in Lake Hills into one subdivision at 10351 Lakeside Court. John, I will turn it over to you for a brief description to the board, please.
So I'm petitioning the board today to take lots 5 and 6, as you see on the board, and we're gonna combine them into one lot. We're eliminating the center, border, that center border right there. Everything else stays the same. There's no improvements needed. The sewer line's already in, water lines are there. Just, we're doing it, I'm building a house for myself. Just wanted more room, more yard for my kids.
And Rick, I forgot to ask, were all the documentations in place for the public hearing?
Yes, Mr. President, all items are in order for this petitioner to proceed.
All right. John, anything else for the board at this time?
He will
Nothing-
be asking for primary and secondary plat approval in this meeting, with the understanding that the secondary plat cannot be signed for at least 30 days, until 30 days have expired from the date of primary plat approval.
Which for a residential lot is a common
For something like
procedure.
this is common, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, John, we're going to open it up for public comment to see
Okay.
what the public thinks about this. So if you want to take a seat, and we'll call you back up after public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Currently, there is no one signed up for public comment. Does anybody, or for the public hearing, does anybody want to speak on behalf of this for the public hearing? I will ask again, does anybody want to speak? Third time, and I will close the public hearing. Does anyone want to speak? All right, I'm closing public hearing. John, if you want to come back up again. I will bring it to the board. Does the board have any question for Sasha, Mr. Sasha? Sejas. Sejas. I did it
Yeah.
right once and I forgot. I apologize, sir. If that, I will entertain a motion. It's a recommendation to,
Yeah, It's a motion
To
to
approve.
approve the primary and secondary plat as submitted. If you want to do them separately, you can do
With that-
primary plat
let's
first
do
and then
primary
secondary.
person, secondary
Right.
second. Okay.
You do have Ken's letter in your packets there. It's a separate stack. It'll be towards the end of those. But Ken has reviewed the plat, and Ken, you can comment on your findings in terms of the review of the plat.
Oh. Should I read it? Should I read it for the record?
It's pretty straightforward.
Let me read it for the record, just so everyone hears this. Dear Plan Commission, we have reviewed primary plat for reference project and have the following comments. The subdivision project combines lots 5 and 6 of Lake Hills re-subdivision Unit 2 into one lot. We have reviewed the plat and find it to be satisfactory. The development fee for this project is $900, as there are no associated public infrastructure improvements, and is to be paid prior to the Plan Commission President and Secretary signing the secondary plat. All public improvements have been installed as part of the existing subdivision. This is from Ken Kraus, our town attorney.
And Mr. President, that fee, that $900 fee was paid yesterday.
Very good.
Pay increase.
So I will entertain a motion for primary plat approval from the board.
I'll make a motion that we grant primary plat approval to the Sejas addition.
I have a primary plat, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Primary plat approves. At this time, I will entertain a motion for secondary primary plat approval with the understanding that he'll have to wait 30 days for the signatures. Do I have a motion for secondary?
I move that we grant Sejas addition secondary plat approval with holding signatures for 30 days.
I have a motion to approve secondary. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Sayles.
Thank you very much.
That is it for public hearings tonight. With that, we have new business. We have shops on 96.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Boyer of Boyer Properties, tonight representing Shops 96 project. We're here tonight to discuss a minor plat revision and amendment to the Shops 96 plat, subdivision plat. I'm certainly willing to defer to Mr. Panzik or Mr. Eberly, but the gist of the matter of this is due to the realignment of the proposed extension of 96th Place to Joliet Street. There's been a shift in the properties. There's been a shift in the alignment of the road and some of the lot layout. We also, at the same time, are changing some of the outlot layouts and the lots north of 96th.
So, Mr. Boyer, for those that are new to the board, can you please, I don't know if it's on the TV screen.
It will be.
Sort of walk the board members through where the just where the lot line changes have occurred.
Well, as far as the lots, Lot 1A and Lot 1B in the original recorded plat were just one lot. We would like to now subdivide that into two lots. And Outlot 2 used to be Outlots 2 and 3. We're now combining that into one lot. There's been some renumbering the lots. We've also, I missed this originally, but we also had two lots for the rear parcel. We had a Lot 3 and a 4 that we've now have combined into just one large lot of 8.3 acres of Lot 3. Then Lot 4 remains the retention pond lot. Outlots A and B are due to the realignment of the road, and we're eliminating an old Lot 5, which as part of an amendment to the Economic Development Agreement we did last week or 2 weeks ago. The town is now buying Lot 5 due to the realignment of the road to miss all the bad soil areas and things that were really in the Outlot A area. So there's been a large shift in the design of the road from Lot 2 east and the connection to Joliet Street. I know the town is working through that, and again, maybe Rick or Paul could speak to that a little bit, but this is really predicated on the need to realign the extension of 96th Place and the connection to Joliet Street.
Looks like it pushes it farther east.
Pushes it farther east, closer to the railroad tracks.
Rick, if you have any comments, or Paul?
Mr. President, you do have a review comments from Ken Kraus. You also have a copy of an email received late this afternoon from Haas and Associates, Scott Kupta specifically. And Adam and I had a chance to discuss this late this afternoon, and I'll let him address this, but I think there's enough concerns with the plat that we may have to defer the action on the plat, and I would, in the interest of saving time on this project, I may be asking you to conduct a special meeting in advance of your March 18th study session for consideration of a little bit different plat. Adam can go into this a little more, but Lot 5, which we're purchasing from Mr. Boyer, has not yet been purchased. And one of the concerns is if this plat were to get approved and recorded as is, it may have some impact on the purchase of the property. Adam, you can.
Yeah, it does, Rick. Simply stated, when the plat is recorded, that then defines the parcels that are located, or the lots that are located within the plat of subdivision. And currently, the town and the developer have an economic development agreement in place that essentially provides that the town will purchase what is identified as Lot 5 according or pursuant to the original plat of subdivision. If this plat is recorded, then essentially that lot 5 no longer exists. So I've raised my concerns to Rick, and I've also, in looking at this late this afternoon, I think it will require some additional time to work through that issue. We have not closed on the purchase of the land, but anticipate doing so here in the next several weeks. And so we need to very simply define the land that's going to be acquired by the town. And I'm concerned about the recording of this plat essentially eliminating the lot that was to be purchased, or is planned to be purchased by the town.
Where's this lot 5 at? I don't see it.
I think it was where Outlot B is.
Outlot B? Is
A
that
and
lot
B.
5?
It's
A and
currently-
B?
Right, it's currently
Most of
identified as,
this.
right, yes, those two outlots and the
Right away.
And what I suggested just before Mr. Boyer got up, to both Mr. Boyer and Mr. Reddick, was that they perhaps present a plat that makes the changes to lot and creates lot 1A, lot 1B, lot 2, and then outlots 1 and 2, and I'll pull up the original or the currently recorded plat so you can see the differences. But as Mr. Boyer said, there used to be 3 outlots along 41, now there are 2. He's combining 2 and 3 into one outlot to be called Outlot 2. And then there were just 2 lots on the north side of 96th Avenue, and now there's essentially going to be 3. But we just want, and that's where the sense of urgency is, that's where the development, most immediate development is going to occur, would be on Outlot 2, as I understand it, Mr. Boyer. So we do want to expedite the correcting of this plat and getting this recorded so that he can pull a building permit on that lot or any of those combinations, 1A, 1B, 2, and outlots 1 and 2. But we want to protect our interests, so to speak, in the purchase of lot 5. Now, Mr. Boyer did inform me that it was his impression, and maybe Mr. Phillips is aware of this, Adam and I weren't, that the town is trying to expedite the purchase of that property. Adam, you were under the impression it was going to happen until mid to late April. Mr. Boyer said it's on a faster track than that. Mr. Phillips, are you aware, or can you speak to that?
It's potentially on a faster track. I mean, we've had some discussions, but nothing has been solidified on that.
Okay. So that's the concern is, there's no distrust here, please
Right.
understand that. It's just a matter of law, as Adam has explained it, and we have to protect our interest
Right.
in what will become outlots A and B.
And I had the opportunity to talk to Ken, and he referred his recommendation, and there was a lot of items on his recommendation that still needed to be either addressed or talked through. So, having a deferral might be a good time, or give Ken, his staff, more opportunity to review the plat and things like that, so.
Ken, can you discuss your review letter?
Sure. Might as well just read it. Dear Mr. Kennedy, we have made a preliminary review of the amended secondary plat submitted for the reference project and have the following comments. 1, the changes from the original plat are as follows. Lot 1 has been divided into 2 lots named Lot 1A and Lot 1B. Outlets 2 and 3 have been combined into one outlot named Outlot 2. Lots 3 and 4 have been combined into one lot named Lot 3. Lot 6 is renamed Lot 4. Lot 5 and part of the West 96th Place right-of-way becomes a portion of Outlot A and all of Outlot B and a portion of the new West 96th Place right-of-way. A portion of the original West 96th Place right-of-way will be vacated and become part of Lot 2 and part of Outlot A. A 150-foot to 230-foot wide detention easement at the rear of the original Lot 3 and a 230-foot wide detention easement at the rear of original Lot 4 has been replaced with a 25-foot wide access and utility easement. 2, we have made a preliminary review of the plat and find the following. It has not received certification from a professional land surveyor. Also, there are several different owners of parcels within the plat area. The names of the representatives are not provided, nor which properties they own. This is especially important regarding Outlot A, Outlot B, and/or Lot 4, as ownership of these parcels will affect ongoing redesign of West 96th Place and the detention basin by the town. The loss of the 230-foot wide detention easement at the rear of the original Lot 4 may also make redesign of the basin problematic. If you have any questions, please contact this office, me.
If I could address those questions, Ken, or your comments there. Certainly, the certification is done at the time the Mylars are presented by the surveyor. There are different owners within that. We weren't aware that names were required as a signature line, but we can certainly provide that again on the Mylars. Regarding outlots A, Outlot B, and Lot 4, those are going to be owned by the town, and we provided a place for the town to sign as ownership of that.
Is there any place that says, which one the bank owns, which ones the town owns?
Well, SJ 96 owns everything, and I will be signing as SJ 96 as the ownership entity.
What lots will the town own?
Outlot A, Outlot B, and Lot 4. The loss of the 230-foot wide detention at the rear of what was old Lot 3 and 4 and is the current Lot 3, that was simply provided at the very last minute of the previous plat when there was discussion and contemplation that the retention pond might have to be shifted further to the west due to some wetland issues. Those wetland issues were fully...
Further east.
Further east, excuse me. No, further west. We were talking about, we may have to relocate the retention pond from Lot 4 further west.
This time, yeah. Originally, it was designed to be in that 150-foot easement. That's where the original basin was.
No, it was never there. That is where the existing detention
Right,
basin is.
and the new one was halfway into that one.
No, the new one was all the way at the back, but we thought we might have to shift it back to the west in case of the wetland issue. But the wetland issue was resolved by off-site mitigation. So that's why
Correct.
we eliminated that easement now.
Yeah,
The detention pond is fully designed to be
Yes.
within Lot 4.
Correct, that's what it is now.
And
The
all
very-
wetland issues
The very
are...
first drawings, though, it was halfway into where the existing one is now, and then we moved it to the east, trying to save the wetland, and then we ended up mitigating instead.
Well, irrespective, I guess, of that, there's no need for an easement now on Lot 3 because everything is contained on Lot 4.
Well, the problem is they're having trouble building the berm for that detention basin, and we were looking at that drainage easement for maybe a place where we can have additional detention and make the original basin smaller.
There's been no discussion of that in any meeting I've been in the last 2 years. So now you're explaining something that I have no knowledge of whatsoever. And matter of fact, we had a construction meeting last week and that was not discussed.
So, I don't know what to say to that.
Well, before the board, you have a recommendation by Rick to defer potentially to a special meeting in 2 weeks. Would that give?
If you 5 folks can, well, I assume you're gonna be here for the study session anyway, so it's a regularly scheduled meeting night. It would just be a regular meeting beginning at 7 to be followed by a study session immediately after.
Ms. Board, I think we're just doing this, I know maybe there's some unresolved questions that might just need to get solidified, and if we hold off for 2 weeks, we'll get that taken care of.
Well, it's a little surprising for me to show up to a meeting tonight not having any knowledge of this. And we were asked to be here and we were asked to do this in this manner and to present this plat tonight for approval. I mean, we were told it was a minor plat revision and to handle it tonight. So here at 7 o'clock, I'm a little blindsided here.
I'm going big. I understand what you're saying to us. I got a recommendation from our planning director to defer to a special meeting in 2 weeks. I have your comments, and I know we just received Ken's comments, which had some problematic issues with it. I used one of his words at 4 o'clock today. So what you were told and what I'm hearing right now might not be jiving, but the board has a understanding of what's being discussed, if they want to defer, want to proceed forward with approving the secondary amendment.
I have a question for Mr. Boyer. Lot 1A, would that be a separate driveway and Lot 1B would have a separate driveway?
No, it'll be accessed from the extension, the Earl Drive extension across 96th, and Lot 1A is accessed through Lot 1B.
Okay,
Actually, all three of those lots are tied together.
okay. And then another question, is the town comfortable, there was questionable soils, had to reroute the road, this reroute, are they comfortable now with the findings of the questionable soils?
Well, I think
To
there's
say
still-
this is the right path and,
I think there's still a couple of borings we're waiting for results of, 2 by KNS and 2 by AES. Is that accurate, Ken?
Actually, 4 by KNS that were completed today.
Okay, so so
Okay.
we're waiting for that information.
okay.
You know, one other thing, if I can interject, you know, before we prepared this plat, and we had meetings with Scott and Ryan, with Haas, and we made sure that the alignment that we're showing is what Haas said they're going to follow. I think Doug received the coordinates and the plotting of this so that we made sure the alignment and the location of that road is what the town engineer asked us to do. So the question now of if that's an incorrect alignment, certainly again is news to me, and we were told to do it this way by the town engineer.
But is there questions regarding the plat with what's being recorded on here, what's being shown? Is that what Adam is saying, or has said?
So, Mr. President, again, my concern has to do with defining the property that the town is going to purchase.
Okay.
And, again, this is, if this is approved and recorded, then I guess the town would be considering purchasing the outlots as opposed to Lot 5. So, again, I've not had the chance to consider that because it may change the terms of the purchase agreement that we're working toward with Mr. Boyer for Shops 96 and for the acquisition of this lot.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Decker, if I could interject a little bit there, our intent was to have this approved tonight, but not recorded until such time the town purchased Lot 5 under the old recorded plat. Then this could be recorded.
I'll interject. If we're waiting to record it, can we just wait 2 weeks to do it at a meeting in 2 weeks?
I'm not sure we'll be ready to record in 2 weeks, but I'm at your mercy, Mr. Kennedy.
Well,
So
issuing a building
Support.
permit is contingent upon this being recorded. So if this isn't gonna be recorded for more than 2 weeks, then this issue is really moot, whether we continue it for 2 weeks or not. When is the purchase, if it's not gonna be recorded until after the purchase is consummated, is the purchase gonna be consummated in 2 weeks? If I don't know who knows that.
I guess
I doubt it.
what I'm
don't
hearing,
believe so.
right, I'm hearing a lot of, not confu, I'm just hearing a lot of things that we don't know answers to.
Yeah.
Well,
You
it
don't-
sounds like the
and-
town's purchasing a lot that will be eliminated or changed
That
to
lot
a
is on
different
your-
number.
right.
Yeah, here's the lot.
See,
five
there's the
now.
lot, the lot's on your
Right,
screen
lot-
now. Right.
Lot 5, purchasing Lot 5, but then it's gonna be Lot A, Lot B, and the right-of-way.
Most of that is being purchased by the town, not all of it. When I go back to the proposed plat, you'll see that Lot 2 gets a little bit larger. The difference is something like 6/10 of an acre. Does that ring a bell, Doug or Ken? 0.5 acre difference. So the legal description of Lot 5 is not exactly the same as what we're buying. It's different by about a half an acre.
But we do have a legal description which I think carves out that part of Lot 5. That
Yes.
was provided by
That's
the
correct.
engineer.
That's correct. Yeah, here's the, this should be it here. So So you see lot 2 gets a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Gets this property over here, so it's not exactly the same as lot 5,
So
but it's
two
very
point
close.
1 acres minus a half an acre, whatever that.
Yeah,
I'd have to do
2.6
the
minus
math.
a half an acre down.
Well, and
to
there's also road right of way being swapped between the previous plat and this plat. There's a
Right.
lot of moving
Right.
parts to get to
Right.
this point.
So, so whether this plat was approved tonight or not, it's not gonna be recorded until the purchase is completed, which is not likely to happen before your meeting that I'm asking you to defer this to, so we can clear up the questions on the plat.
All right.
That's my take on it. I don't know, Mr. Phillips, you think any differently, or?
I think that's correct, but Mr. Panzer probably could add to that if there's anything to add. I think that's correct, though, that I don't think we're gonna be finalizing that purchase prior to that time.
So if this is the case, and I'm not a board member, I'm just going to offer my knowledge of the situation, okay? I believe the town council and RDC are looking to have a special meeting, and I'm fairly certain that's gonna happen a week from tonight. And it is going to approve the purchase, and then it will be in Adam and Mr. Boyer, his attorney's hands to complete the purchase. So if we have that purchase agreement approved and being worked, perhaps 2 weeks from now, we'll have had time for our engineers to work through any checklist items they have. Everything seems pretty minor, actually, because I've got a pretty good scope on this. Like the detention basin, there's no concern about that. They're looking to try to remedy a problem. So they were, as engineers will, they were looking at what was available, and it was an easement, now it's not available. Obviously, I understand where the lot lines are, so, and I'll have a conversation with them to understand that doesn't change. So that'll be worked out, and the other checklist items. So a week from now, purchase approved. 2 weeks from now, all the questions are answered. It comes back to you. And then perhaps at that point, if all your questions are answered, you'd have the option to approve it contingent on the completion and recording of the sale. So that would probably be the most streamlined course of action right now that would answer questions and.
Mr. President, can I ask a question? So the question would be, does the approval have to take place, only the approval have to take place, or the closing before that becomes effective? Before the plat can be,
The approval of the purchase?
yeah, the approval of the purchase itself only, or does the actual closing of the property, closing of the sale of the property, transferring that to the town need to take place?
Well, so the economic development agreement contemplates that the town will acquire the fee simple
Right.
interest of what used to be described as Lot 5 and now is, and I'm not certain are they contiguous? Are the outlots A and B and the roadway the same as what was described in the legal description provided for the purchase agreement?
That's another concern.
Okay, so again, from my perspective, we need to define what the town is acquiring, and that description had previously been provided by Mr. Boyer and his engineer. That may be altered by this proposed plat of subdivision with the outlot A and the outlot B. So I know it's a very simple explanation of what my concerns are, but I believe that whether the purchase occurs before or after the recording of the first amended plat is not terribly significant or critical as long as it can be defined. What I'm trying to avoid is having a legal description which defines Lot 5, which was on
Right.
the original plat, have a plat recorded that essentially eliminates that, and then have to redefine the parcels that are being acquired with the amended
Right.
plat. So,
We can tell that there's slight differences when you compare the two drawings. So there is some potential concern that that the purchase agreement doesn't match the outcome of,
The plat.
the
I
plat
think
with
it's-
outlots A and B.
I think it's simply a matter of defining the legal description of the parcel, whether it's off the old subdivision or the new subdivision.
Right, and the legal description that we've written for the purchase of part of Lot 5 coincides with the west line of Outlot A. So it is the same line. Lot 2 is getting bigger, Lot 5 is getting smaller. The purchase of Lot 5, they're only buying part of Lot 5, but the line between Outlot A and Lot 2 is the defined line of what they're purchasing.
All right, Doug, so what's on the screen there?
That is what's in the purchase agreement.
That's correct.
And that's
Excuse me.
this property.
So,
It can't be because lot 5 is not the development.
Just to bring it back to the
Yeah,
board, can we just, there's a lot of moving parts. Can we just entertain a motion to defer? I don't want to have this discussion here in public. Not that I'm trying to put anything behind a closed door, but we're having discussion about legal rights, what we know, what you guys have. I would recommend that we bring it back to the board. We make a motion to defer with a special meeting in 2 weeks, the 18th, to handle what will probably be ministerial, a 5-minute meeting. So if I could get a motion to defer to a special meeting is there any other requirements that we need to notify for that meeting, Rick?
No, this is not a public hearing, so.
Okay, if I can get a motion? Come on, I thought.
I'll
it was
make a
good.
motion to defer, Shops 96, till when, April?
March 18th.
March 18th,
At 7 o'clock, we'll do it before the study session.
for a special meeting of March 18th before the study session.
I have a motion to defer to March 18th by Bob. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to defer. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Now, Mr. Boyer does have the Outlot 2 crew car wash
The
that
new-
he handed you.
The new outlot 2 or the old lots 2 and 3.
Right.
Again, under the Economic Development Agreement, I said, and we must bring everything back to the Plan Commission, basically to show you what we're doing on each individual lot. So I'd like to, part of your packet was the signage drawings, building drawings, landscape drawing, and everything for a crew car wash to be located on the new Outlot 2. Certainly, if you have any questions regarding that, I can answer it. It's an all-brick building, brick and limestone, with some decorative or architectural metal panel elements on the roof. We have done an extensive amount of landscaping, which is on the second drawing in your packet, the large drawing. Everything signage-wise, the monument sign, the building signage, everything is in accordance with the plan unit development documents and the economic development agreement.
And that's in Outlot 2?
Outlot 2.
Would this be very similar in nature to the one on US 30 in Maryville?
No. It's similar in operation only. It doesn't look anything like that. We have eliminated some of the footprint of the building. Again, it is all brick and limestone. The architectural elements and the architectural look is much different than anything you've seen in Maryville.
Will it have those outdoor vacuums?
Does have the vacuums. We have put those on the back of the building
So
towards
on
Earl
the
Drive,
East side?
on the east side.
East side, okay. Is there anything that I could Google on maps that would show me something that looks similar to this facility?
Not
Or-
really. This is a new prototype that I have influenced crew to build.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Boyer from the board? Paul, I would imagine you looked at all the signage pretty well because you got that covered pretty well.
I actually didn't, this is the first I've seen it, but there's certain stipulations that were part of the PUD.
Okay,
that
very good.
In general, the PUD is compliant with our signage ordinance. There's subdivision sign, there's monument signs per tenant, that type of thing.
Right, so, particularly for Yolanda and Nancy, for your edification, when this was approved as a PUD last year?
It was a while ago.
Was it even the year before? it was approved with the understanding that, as Bruce mentioned, he would come back on a lot-by-lot basis and show you drawings such as this, the plan for each lot. But as long as he complies with the terms of that PUD ordinance, this is just a matter of showing it to you. It's not a matter of you acting on it. Okay?
Mr.
This
Boyer, just
actually-
for, I didn't see the landscaping. I don't know if you could send that to.
It's
Oh,
the
the
larger
bigger one. Got it.
Yeah, it's the second page in the larger
Sorry.
one.
It's in the big one.
And there are some architectural building elevations there, but the rendering, the signage shows the building signs, and placement on the building, and the monument sign, which is only a 6-foot tall monument sign.
All right.
And I will be reviewing this, because this is the first I've seen it as well. I'll be reviewing this to make sure it complies with the terms of the PUD ordinance that rezoned this property.
Thank you. Anything for Ms. Boyer?
I have a question, and I'm new to the board, so before you spoke of your construction meetings that you have, who from the town, or does nobody from the town attend?
No, it's really a construction meeting to discuss the construction being provided by the town. As far as the 96 Place construction, the engineering of the extension of 96 and the connection to Joliet, as well as the improvements on Route 41. We're just all trying to track the progress of all those elements.
Okay, so basically it's your company and,
There's a representative of my company. DVG is there sometimes, usually Mr. Panzik or a representative of the council, the Haas Engineering. Rick has been at most of them.
okay.
And Craig will be attending those as well. He's
Craig's-
already
Craig's
attended
gonna-
one, so.
Craig's gonna have to jump in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Boyer.
Mr. President, if I may, just for the new members of the Plan Commission, I'll put it very simply. This is an unusual project in that the town is partnering with the developer, so the town is installing a new road to make the exit from Joliet out to 41 safer. So we're rerouting it to a new stoplight. We're installing the detention basin. Mr. Boyer collected up all the land of all the old dilapidated businesses, and then donated the right-of-way. The town is installing the improvements, the road and the detention basin. So the town will own and install those, and then he will be filling in business around there. So it's an unusual project. Instead of just having a developer coming with you with their project, it's sort of our project as well, so.
And if you've noticed in conjunction with that, it truly is a partnership. We're doing the work on some of our land, we're installing utilities now and doing some of the earthwork. The town has been working on the road. The last 2 weeks, the street lights went up there, the decorative street lights, which are now active and lit, and I think it looks very nice, and we're anxious to keep things moving here. We have crew car wash as well as other users that want to be under construction in the next 2 to 3 months, and get things moving out there. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next on the agenda, item I, this is just a public hearing announcement. There is no action required, but at our next meeting, we will have public hearing on Moonraker Estate. The petitioner is seeking preliminary and secondary plat approval of a one-lot subdivision in Castle Rock subdivision to combine 2 lots into one, very similar to what we had this evening. And then AC Group Holdings will be seeking a rezone of 2+ acres of land at the 9500 block of White Oak from open space to R1 single residential. Those public hearings are scheduled for April 1st, 2020. Next on the agenda is public comment. We did have several individuals sign up for public comment. I have a Richard Logren. Is there a Richard Logren? Then I got Nick Sinocrack. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? And please come up. State your name and address, please. Mr. DeVito, how are you, sir?
Beautiful day. Good evening. My name is Dennis DeVito, 10341 Silver Maple Drive. And for what it's worth, I'm in favor of Mr. Boyer's development. I think it's a positive for the community. And unfortunately, what I'm about to say may reflect negatively, but I intend no disrespect to Mr. Boyer. I've observed for the last 2 years efforts to accelerate this project that's been going on for, I've been told, 5 years. We're now told tonight we're forced to expedite something because a road isn't ready, because a sewer pipe isn't done, because all this stuff that should have been accomplished years ago has not been. And my message is, I hope this board, and I hope it gets accelerated to the town council, that you should do your homework, get the job done right, and stop fooling around trying to expedite things that don't work. We're now buying lots that we didn't have to buy. We're rerouting roads. The money that's been lost. The delays. Mr. Boyer's got delays. So we've got to live with the delays. We hear it's another month before anything can be done. How can this be? How is it possible that intelligent people can make such a mess out of what should be a very simple development? Well, simple may be the wrong word, but straightforward. This previous boards, obviously their work tells what kind of work they did. And I just hope this board takes the time, the energy, studies what has to be done, and does it correctly, and doesn't squander the money, the time, and the goodwill of the citizens of St. John. Other than that, it's a good day. Thank you
Mr.
very
DeVito.
much.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? With that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I got a motion?
Second.
I got a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion adjourned.
Aye.